Tonight, major relief after an agonizing search spanning 2 provinces.
All I can say is she was found alone.
What police are revealing about how a toddler was found.
We've had up to 200 people working day and night to find this young girl.
And the lingering questions about how she survived. The show of defiance from Iran's supreme leader as Donald Trump weighs a momentous decision.
I may do it, I may not do it. I mean, nobody knows what I'm going to do.
And who stranded Canadians are pointing the finger at. What Canada's spy agency is exposing about India, a day after the leaders of both countries vowed to restore diplomatic relations. Also, a sword attack survivor's harrowing story.
It's about to go from like my core, like where my heart is, from like my heart, stomach area. So I just end up grabbing the blade with my hands.
And an unforgettable milestone moment. How this child's life has changed forever in a Canadian first.
Hi.
CTV National News with Omar Sachedina.
Good evening. A massive sigh of relief in parts of at least 2 provinces tonight, but a major question remains. How did a 3-year-old survive for days before being discovered this afternoon alone by a police drone? Claire Bell was found along Highway 417 in St. Albert, Ontario, after being reported missing Sunday afternoon in Coteau-du-Lac, Quebec, about 100 kilometers to the east.
This search proves that when a child goes missing, there are no interprovincial boundaries. There is only one goal: to find them.
Her discovery on the same day the girl's mother appeared in court facing a child abandonment charge. CTV's Denise Roberts on the ongoing investigation and what the child's father is saying tonight.
3-year-old Claire Bell was found alone, but alive.
She was speaking with the police officer. She was alive. We provided some first aid in water and food for now, and she's been taken care by the paramedics. So the priority is just to make sure she is okay.
On the 4th day of a massive search combining several police forces, investigators received a big lead that led them to a farm in St. Albert, Ontario, more than an hour from where Claire was reported missing. A woman told them she had seen the toddler on the afternoon she went missing. Ontario Provincial Police drones then combed the area along the 417 where they found the girl.
As you can imagine, this search has weighed heavily on everyone, including members of the public who became deeply invested in the fate of this young child. This was a search where we knew, especially given her age, that every hour mattered.
Now there are questions about what happened to her, including how a 3-year-old girl could survive 4 days in this rough terrain. Claire's discovery came just minutes after her mother, Rachel Ella Todd, appeared in court facing a charge of child abandonment. Her bail hearing has been delayed and she could face additional charges.
You try that again?
A TikTok video recorded the day the toddler went missing shows an agitated Todd who had quit her job with a hospitality group on June 6th. Her father sent out a message tonight on Instagram, thanking those who helped in the search. News that Claire was found spread fast, and there's a palpable sense of joy and relief across the province tonight that the search has been called off, an outcome few could have seen coming. Denise Roberts, CTV News in Coteau-du-Lac.
The world is watching Donald Trump's decision on whether or not to get involved in the clash between Israel and Iran tonight. Iran's supreme leader defiant today after the U.S. president demanded the country's unconditional surrender and its mission to the UN declaring no Iranian official has ever asked to grovel at the gates of the White House after Trump said today that Iran, battered by Israel's strikes, is now asking to come to the White House to negotiate. Here's CTV's Washington Bureau Chief Joy Melvin.
Admiring his new flagpole on the White House lawn, the hard-to-predict president weighing the most consequential decision of his presidency, to bomb Iran or not.
I may do it, I may not do it. I mean, nobody knows what I'm going to do. The next week is going to be very big, maybe less than a week.
Israel and Iran trading airstrikes for another day. Any chance for a peaceful resolution seems remote.
Two very simple words, very simple: unconditional surrender. That means I've had it. Okay, I've had it. I give up. No more. Then we go blow up all the all the nuclear stuff.
The Supreme Leader, now in hiding, says Iran will never surrender, warning of irreparable harm should the U.S. attack.
I think any American intervention would be a recipe for an all-out war in the region.
After weeks of talks with Iran, the president's patience is wearing thin, moving more military assets into the region, a third aircraft carrier. Israel needs U.S. military power to destroy Iran's underground nuclear enrichment plant using so-called bunker-busting bombs.
What I can see is the military maneuvers are getting in place. I've been very struck by, since the president said unconditional surrender, that just leaves very little room for diplomacy.
Lawmakers are demanding congressional approval before the U.S. takes any military action.
Anyone who is cheerleading the United States into a war with Iran has very quickly forgotten the disasters of the Iraq War and the Afghanistan War.
The president, who ignored his own intelligence director, now claims that Iran is just weeks away from having a nuclear bomb.
I'm not looking to fight, but if it's a choice between fighting and them having a nuclear weapon, you have to do what you have to do.
From promoting diplomacy to weighing a U.S. strike, the president says he has ideas about what to do, but has not made a final decision. Omar?
All right, Joy, thank you. Iran's Fordo nuclear site is dug deep into a mountain about 80 meters and so far hasn't been damaged. The U.S. could reach it using massive bombs Joy just mentioned, called bunker busters, including one weighing almost 14,000 kilograms. But Israel doesn't have that kind of bomb or a plane that carries it. That would be the B-2 stealth bomber that only the U.S. has. And as the tensions ramp up, some Canadians stranded in the region say they are feeling abandoned by their government, insisting that the delays are putting their lives in danger. Here's CTV's Adrian Gabriel.
As missiles are seen in the night sky being intercepted over the West Bank, and a plume of smoke rises after a targeted Israeli attack on a police headquarters in Tehran, innocent people have been caught in the vice grip of war.
I haven't slept for the last 3-4 days.
This Iranian Canadian has asked that we protect her identity. Late last night, her husband managed to cross a precarious land border into Turkey after being turned away by Azerbaijan. Though she still has a brother-in-law who's Canadian, her mother-in-law and family trapped in Iran. She says help from the Canadian embassy in Ankara has been painfully slow.
I'm asking the government of Canada, make this process faster. Every hour and minute is essential.
In a war zone, every second running to safety can make a difference. Timothy Payne has learned that firsthand while sprinting into bomb shelters in Tel Aviv.
Here we are just sitting ducks night after night, bombing after bombing.
Payne is one of 15 Canadians who play in the Israel Elite Hockey League. The 29-year-old arrived in Tel Aviv 1 week before the war began. Desperate to get home to Toronto, he says the Canadian embassy in Tel Aviv has been of no assistance.
There's no preparation for this. It's scary. It's scary as all hell. You hear the sirens, you hear the rockets. I'm not here on a political decision, I'm just here to play hockey. And I'm just caught in the midst.
A federal government account on WhatsApp has so far told Canadians in Israel not to depend on officials to get them out of the war-torn region. This, as the U.S. State Department is already working on a plan to help get its citizens out of Jerusalem. Omar.
Adrian, thank you. The lone survivor of the Air India plane crash mourned his brother today as he carried his coffin. The funeral procession for the survivor's brother who died in the tragedy took place in the family's hometown in India. 241 people bound for Britain died when the Boeing aircraft lost altitude seconds after takeoff. At least 29 more people on the ground were killed in the crash. A day after India's Prime Minister and Prime Minister Mark Carney agreed to restore diplomatic ties, a new intelligence report is accusing India of foreign interference. Here's CTV's Abigail Beeman.
It's a great honor to host you at the G7.
A G7 meeting with Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi as Canada's spy agency lists India as one of the main perpetrators of foreign interference and espionage in its newly released annual report. CSIS called links between the government of India and the 2023 murder of Sikh separatist activist Hardeep Singh Nijjar a significant escalation in India's repression efforts against the Khalistan movement and a clear intent to target individuals in North America.
We condemn any interference by foreign actors in Canada. The RCMP, as you're aware, is completing its ongoing investigation.
The report calls on Canada to remain vigilant about continued foreign interference by India in ethnic, religious, and cultural communities, as well as Canada's political system.
The level of trust will take years to rebuild, but it has to start.
I think it was premature.
This former CSIS intelligence officer says the move yesterday to restore top diplomats in both countries is important, but the timing sent mixed signals.
On the one hand, we're taking transnational repression seriously. At the second hand, we're inviting people over, putting them on the red carpet, and making it look as though all's fine and wonderful.
Until there's accountability and a commitment to actually work with Canadian law enforcement with these ongoing investigations and not to do it anymore, I think any dialogue is premature.
The CSIS report also notes Canadian, American, and British spy agencies agree never in our combined histories have we faced national security threats overall of such magnitude simultaneously. Omar?
Abigail Beeman in Ottawa. Toronto area police have made 20 arrests and laid more than 100 criminal charges in connection to tow truck-related violence.
It's quite telling that none of them have criminal records or are before the courts because they are the higher level. And the way that we go after them is through wiretap investigations, where we get the conversations about the planning and the organizing of these violent acts.
The probe, dubbed Project Yankee, also led to the seizure of 2 guns and 4 vehicles, including 3 armor-plated Cadillacs, which police call extremely uncommon and reveals the group's level of sophistication. Authorities believe the criminal network is behind numerous acts of violence to gain control of the towing industry. A Manitoba high school student is speaking out after he was attacked with a sword by another student. CTV's Alex Karpus spoke to him about the terrifying ordeal and the road to recovery.
He's got one right there.
Chinoso Onuke's body is now covered with cuts.
So we have to move these fingers.
Both of his hands are wrapped in casts. Onuke is now recovering at home after surviving a sword attack at his high school.
The whole thing happened so fast you would think it's a dream. Like, you wouldn't think it's real.
He remembers the student pulling out a sword in the hallway during lunch break and lunging at him.
Gets me in the chest, and then I end up, because he's about to go from like my core, like where my heart is, around like my heart, stomach area, so I just end up grabbing the blade with my hands.
He says he's lucky to be alive.
I was not thinking at all. Like, I'm gonna tell you, like, it was all action, zero thought.
A 16-year-old student at the school is now facing several charges, including attempted murder. There is no word on a motive at this time. Karen Littlewood says school-based violence is rising across Canada.
Student to student, student to teacher, parent to teacher, parent to secretary. Everybody is at risk in the schools, and you never know when there's going to be some sort of explosive incident.
A survey done by the Elementary Teachers Federation of Ontario in 2023 found that 77% of its members experienced or witnessed violence against another staff person, an increase from the 70% reported in 2017. Littlewood says more supports are needed.
If supports had been provided, we wouldn't end up with these kind of headlines, and everybody would be safe when they go to school in Canada.
Open chest.
For Onuke, there isn't much he can do except rest. As he recovers, he says he wants to see more security measures put in schools to prevent incidents like this from happening in the future. Alex Karpus, CTV News, Souris, Manitoba.
In Newfoundland and Labrador, a wildfire is forcing an entire town to flee for safety tonight.
We were presented with sort of worst-case scenario in terms of how long it would take to evacuate.
With flames racing towards the town of Badger, the Premier has ordered more than 700 people to evacuate. Crews spent the day going door to door to mark which homes were empty. Dry and windy conditions are making the firefight very challenging. Coming up, the tricks and tactics of auto thieves.
Are you a car thief, sir?
No, your mama is.
An inside job exposed. A W5 investigation is shedding light on how some employees of Service Ontario, the agency that registers cars in that province, are helping thieves steal cars. John Woodward reveals how criminals working in provincial licensing systems might be a problem right across Canada.
This is surveillance video of a driveway east of Toronto in 2021. It's almost 2 a.m. You can see the 5 men climb the stairs of the home. They demand a resident's car keys and fire a gun into the ground. They made off with a $400,000 Bentley in the driveway. The hunt for the thieves led investigators to a company here in Sudbury, Ontario. That business was registering cars, even though an OPP report filed in court said officers concluded this business does not exist. Some of those cars discovered on this lot just north of Toronto, belonging to another company called Prexco. Visitors weren't exactly welcome, but we went there anyway, looking for Prexco's director, Eric Johnson.
We're looking for Eric Johnson?
We got someone on the phone, but he didn't have much to say.
Okay, listen, man, I don't have time for this.
After the police visited the same property in 2022, recording this video, they accused Johnson of being the mastermind of a scheme to disguise stolen cars from Land Rovers to Porsches, changing their unique vehicle identification numbers so he could sell them. And he had help. Police believed he was working with a clerk at this Brampton Service Ontario, someone he called My Girl in wiretaps, who bragged she could stop toll highway bills from ever making it to the driver.
Let's say, for example, you're on 407 and you don't pay the bills, and they'll never come back to you.
The clerk, a woman named Tanisha Baird. Among the vehicles she registered with Johnson was one for her to drive, an Audi Q3 SUV that was worth about $46,000 new. She paid just $162 in fees. It was the vehicle she was driving when she was arrested. She and Johnson convicted in March, with a judge describing her as a car thief too. We caught up with Johnson himself outside the Brampton courthouse.
Mr. Johnson, John Woodward from CTV. We can stay back. That's fine. We just wanted to see if Mr. Johnson had anything to say for himself. We just wanted to see if he had anything to say, Mr. Johnson, about what's happening. Are you a car thief, sir?
No, your mama is.
Investigators are exploring whether someone on the inside, like Baird, arranged paperwork for any possibly stolen vehicles at a Scarborough dealership, whose salespeople are also facing charges. Cases like this, where a criminal uses someone on the inside of a government agency, could be happening a lot more than we know, said Mike Fair, who used to work for the Edmonton Police's Alert Car Theft Unit.
How widespread is something like that across the country?
I would say that it's all across the country.
What tells you that?
We have stolen vehicles that travel across the country continually. It's mobile.
Ontario's Minister of Transportation says his province has introduced changes that he hopes will make it harder for anyone to illegally re-VIN a car.
For us, it's about making sure that we punish those who do take part in this, create deterrences through legislation.
Johnson and Baird are awaiting sentencing, the judge saying their crimes provide the financial incentive for the violence in thefts like this.
And tomorrow, the financial fight to stop car thieves from a huge payday and $1 million Ferrari that isn't quite what it seems. Still ahead, how they tried to pull off the largest jewelry heist in U.S. history. A Tim Hortons in Saskatchewan was the site of a bizarre break-in. A burglar climbed through the drive-through window and right into the Tim southeast of Regina before breaking into the cash register and then fleeing back through that window. 7 men in California have been charged in connection with the largest jewelry heist in U.S. history. They allegedly robbed a Brinks truck with $100 million worth of diamonds, rubies, and gold 3 years ago. Court documents show the crew allegedly tracked the truck from a Bay Area jewelry show to a rest stop outside of Los Angeles where they struck. Only 3 of the 7 are in custody and only a portion of the hull has been recovered.
Works on Cornet, shot clock at 4, drives in and throws down a sledgehammer.
And sporting history is about to be made. The majority stake of the LA Lakers basketball franchise will be sold in what will be the most expensive sale of a U.S. sports team ever. The deal, worth $10 billion, would see Mark Walter, who also owns the LA Dodgers and the PWHL, acquire the team from longtime owners, the Buss family. And the Stanley Cup has been damaged during the Florida Panthers' wild celebrations after their second straight win over the Edmonton Oilers. There's a crack in the famous trophy and also a new dent in the cup, which is no stranger to getting roughed up. Still ahead, a remarkable first for a little girl after a medical breakthrough. We leave you tonight with the amazing moment a toddler heard sound for the first time, thanks to a groundbreaking new surgery at the Children's Hospital in London, Ontario. Here's CTV's Sean Irvin.
Will tiny Savannah turn when she hears a clap?
Yeah.
It is the response parents Danny and Jacqueline Lee have been waiting for since being told their daughter could not hear. For the first year of her life, they believed she never would.
So we were actually told to continue with sign because that would be our only option, really.
Enter LHSC surgeon Dr. Demir Bajin and a technique he performed while working overseas. Using a new auditory implant, he offered the Lee family a chance for Savannah to hear. But it would require brain surgery.
We need to expose the brainstem to put the implant in.
The procedure came with risks.
But the risks were pretty low because they've been so well versed in this whole procedure that it gave us, it helped us decide really easily to move forward with it.
The 4-hour surgery took place last year, and it didn't take long for Savannah to advance.
It was very rewarding to see such a clear sign of hearing on the day we activated the device, and we had some nice clear signs of hearing, like looking up, turning towards sounds, which was fantastic on day one.
So this is essentially the only choice that these kids have to develop language skills and hear any sound. So if you do it on time, which we did for this kid, they will develop a normal language skill.
And that ability to communicate in words was something her parents had thought might never be possible until this moment.
Hi. Hi.
But then when you actually hear the words, you feel kind of better and like pressure's off and you feel like a weight's been kind of lifted a bit.
A weight that these parents hope extends to other children and adults waiting desperately for the chance to hear for the first time. In London, Sean Irvin, CTV News.
And Savannah's very happy about it. You can tell. That's a snapshot of this Wednesday for all of us at CTV National News. Thank you for watching. Good night.
Canada's #1 newscast for excellence in journalism.
We begin tonight with breaking news.
CTV National News with Omar Sachedina, winner of the Canadian Screen Award for Best National Newscast. Watch weeknights at 11.